Oh, we good. I think we're good. Okay, guys, today I am back with a I don't know, very unique video, I believe. Um, I have been thinking about doing this video for quite some time actually, and I never really got around doing it because I felt like it was too personal or I didn't really know how to talk about this, but I just thought, you know what, let's do it finally, because there are things to be said about this, and it's a big part of my life. It has shaped me in a way that I think very few other experiences in my life have, so I do believe it's kind of like an important thing to share. So I'm gonna tell you about my first love today. I'm gonna tell you about the first person that, I loved in a way. Before getting into this, I just want to say I made a collaborative video a while back that I absolutely love, and it's called First Loves, and it's basically people sharing thoughts about their first love. So it's going to be down below, and I absolutely adore this video, so I highly suggest you go watch it. It's such a positive and uplifting and beautiful video. So I mean, not because I did it, but because of the amazing stories that people shared. So recently I posted a podcast about my first relationship and how it was one of the biggest regrets of my life, and how it was just a disastrous experience, and how I absolutely got nothing positive out of this. And I told you in that video, in that podcast, that sorry about the noise, one of the reasons why it was so disastrous was also because I was kind of in love with someone at the time, and I didn't really listen to myself, and I tried to convince myself that I could love someone else when in fact I wasn't. So as I've said in the podcast, I think there are so many different kinds of love, and I can safely say that in my life I have loved, like, really 3 persons in a romantic way. But even then, I think those 3 loves were really different. And today I'm going to tell you about the first one. So the first one was when I was 14 years old and lasted until I was 18, and it's still something that's relevant to my life, I guess, in a way. I don't love that person romantically anymore, but I still have huge feelings of tenderness and appreciation and respect and benevolence towards them. And this first love was, well, first of all, I guess it was just unique in its way because it was the first. I think it was also unique because it was not an unrequited love, but it wasn't like I was in a relationship with that person, so that makes it, I guess, like an interesting situation, sort of. And also it was a long distance one, and also it was just something that always belonged to the online world. So here you go, here you have it. So the first love. I was 14 years old and I was on MySpace. Do you remember the good old days? So I was on MySpace just doing whatever I was doing on MySpace, answering messages, trying to make my page look good and whatever. And I fell across a profile or a page, and I remember that the first picture I saw was someone from the back. Like, I didn't even see his face, I didn't even see anything, just his hair and his back. And as weird as it may sound, because it sounds pretty weird, I guess I did fall in love immediately, and super, like, totally seeing that picture. I had no idea what that person looked like, what that person's personality was, what they were doing for a living, where they were living, nothing, absolutely nothing. It's just, when I saw the picture, the back, I felt something, like I felt something immediately. And at that time, I don't know why, maybe I was really active on the internet, I have no idea, but I messaged that person, he messaged me back, and the very same night we were chatting on MSN. Do you remember that as well? Yeah. And on the very same night, we chatted with the webcams. So it was so strange, like that's something I would absolutely not do anymore. But yeah, that's how it was back in the days. And sometimes I actually really miss, I mean very often actually, I miss the old internet. But yeah, and so yeah, I remember that, you know, this first discussion that we had on MSN, it wasn't anything really special, but it was immediately a flirty kind of real like discussion. It wasn't like a friendly discussion or a very neutral one, not at all. And I remember feeling extremely excited, and that's precisely how I would feel for the most part of the relationship. And what started that night, was more than I was prepared for, I guess. And it hurt me in a lot of different ways, and it also made me grow in so many ways. I think it taught me how to love unconditionally, and for that I am really grateful, absolutely grateful. So I remember I went to bed, and before going to bed I was living with my mom, obviously, because I was 14, and my dad as well. So I went to say goodnight to them, and my mom was like, wow, you look really excited, really hyper, what did you do? And I was like, no, nothing. But I don't know, I was really hyper. And from that day on, I felt like I was going through life on a wave of love, like a pink wave of love, you know. Everything was happy, everything was beautiful, everything was great, until things were not great with that person. So we would spend hours talking to each other daily. And we would obviously, I mean, the way we talked and the things we said, we were not friends, but we never said to each other that we were dating, that we were in a relationship, that we would see each other one day, that we would end up making this into something serious or whatever. And I remember at that time that a lot of my friends were starting to date guys in real life, and no one really understood me and this virtual, this online relationship going on. I mean, I was 14, I think he was 17 or 18, maybe 17. I think we have a 3-year gap. I don't really remember actually. I think it's 3 or 4, no more than that. And you know, it was just great. It was good, it was beautiful, but I think at that time that person really wasn't probably the best version of themselves they could be, and they ended up lying and being not really trustworthy in some ways, and it hurt me. And I remember when that happened, I felt so heartbroken, so very sad, and I was crying so much. And I remember thinking, it is the first and the last time that I feel this way because of such things. And actually, you know what? It kind of worked. I think maybe being so in love, so unconditionally in love at such a young age, and so committed and so like deeply into my feelings and being hurt so much, I think it really kind of made me feel, wow, I need to be extra careful about that. I cannot lose this sense of strength and this sense of my life is beautiful and my life is worth it and my life is interesting, even if there is no romantic connection in it, and even if a romantic connection fails. And really early on I got this very strong feeling that I absolutely didn't need any partner in my life to feel complete, to feel happy, to feel good. So this lasted for a few days, feeling really, really heartbroken, and then we started talking again. And then from that day on, it was just like talking to each other, really liking, really loving each other, being so happy, and then stopping, you know, like cutting ties for a while for some obscure reasons. Most of the time it was actually me getting angry over something, and then, you know, stopping having any interaction with him. And it went on and off until I was 16, so for like 2 years. And then I got the boyfriend I talked to you about in my last podcast. And I realized, you know, because it's such a cruel thing to do, and I feel awful for saying that, but I kind of compared, you know, the two. And Like it was absolutely incomparable. Absolutely incomparable. And I think I was so lucky to be in such big, great love, even though it was kind of a toxic, I suppose, in a way, relationship at first. Because now I really know what my heart and my being and my soul is capable of. I know how deep I can love. And later on story will tell you, and told me even how much I really can love, and so deeply and so unconditionally, and it's just great. So yeah, it was such a good lesson to learn about myself, to know that I could feel those amazing and beautiful feelings, and I could have those deep emotions, thinking of someone and exchanging with someone. And that way, because I knew that, I really couldn't accept and I couldn't be fine with something that wasn't real, that wasn't intense, that wasn't deep, that wasn't serious. And I just want something to be really clear. When I say deep and intense, I don't mean fighting all the time and the passion and everything. That's not what I mean, because even though we had those moments where we stopped talking and those moments where I felt really sad and everything, it wasn't because of me. I can safely say I have never been a person that likes that kind of things. I like relationships that are about communication, about trust, that are calm and quiet and serene and peaceful. When I say deep love, that means accepting each other unconditionally, not having any conditions except respect, obviously, that kind of things, but like being able to love someone, even if they don't love you back, being able to understand when you're at fault, being able to apologize, being able to understand someone else's vulnerabilities, insecurities and struggles, and helping them through that, and also giving them time. For me, deep, intense, serious love means loyalty over the years, over other feelings, and that's what I call intense, beautiful, deep love. It's not the passion that you see in movies or those toxic relationships that are absolutely glamorized and turned into something positive, but they're really not positive, and I don't believe they're love in any way. So after breaking up with this guy, this boyfriend that I told you about in the last podcast, I got in touch again with my first love, I suppose you could say. We were always on and off, never really stopped talking to each other completely. I would feel absolutely panicky if I knew I didn't have a way to reach out to him and to contact him. So it was always something that I knew. Like, I knew his email address, I knew his post address, I knew, his details and contact infos, because I felt like I absolutely needed to be in touch with him. And that lasted for years, actually, until maybe 4 years ago. I absolutely needed that. I needed to know. And what was really beautiful is that we met again, and we started we met again online, and we started talking and exchanging again, having feelings still for each other, in the sense of, I respect you, I wish all the best for you, I love you as a human being, I love you, but not romantic feelings anymore. And it made me feel so at peace to see that I did matter for him, even though he made me feel worthless many times, and to see that I could forgive, that I could understand, that I could accept, and I could be like, I also have some, blame to take in that. And to be able to interact as mature and grown-ups and adults, I suppose you could say, and exchange the love in such a pure and benevolent way with another being, especially a man, it's absolutely priceless. It's just beautiful, and it made me feel so much better about myself, and to be understood, to feel understood. Like, he understood my asexuality, he understood my struggles with different things, and we exchanged on such a deep and intimate and honest level. And that's a gift. I really feel like I have been given a gift, and I think for the 3 times I loved really deeply, even though those loves were all different, and I gave different parts of myself, and I could give different amounts of love and, you know, all those things, and I expected different things, and those 3 different people had different roles to play in my life, you know. I believe that 2 of them were not meant to be partners for me. They were meant to be, or at least not romantic partners, they were meant to be people I met on my way, on my journey, to teach me something, to bring me something, perhaps for me as well, to give them something probably, but not to be romantically involved as partners. And I think this is something that a lot of people have troubles understanding, because sometimes, you know, loving someone doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in a relationship with them. It doesn't mean that. And I think for me, that's something I understood very clearly and very early on. It's not because I love someone that means I have to be in a relationship with them, that means I have to live with them, that it means I have to be their girlfriend or their partner or anything. No, it doesn't mean anything like that. It just means I love them in their own ways. And yeah, I mean, there was a time actually where I felt a bit like, what would happen, or what would have happened if we had met? Like if I had gone to his country and just, you know, be like, hey, I'm here to see you. But I believe it wasn't meant to be. You know, I have traveled a lot. I have traveled to his country, by the way. And we never talked about it, and I never felt like I was really ready to do it. So for me, knowing my personality and everything, that probably means it wasn't meant to happen, and that's totally fine. Like nowadays, like now, I can say I have no regrets. I can safely say this person really is important for me. I wish him all the best. I think about him very frequently. I thank him for everything. But I think we lived what we had to live, and perhaps we have different opinions and even different perspectives on the shared experience that we have, and that's totally fine as well. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you. Honestly, I think it's such an important part of my life because it really shaped me. The first pain, the immense, incredible, ugly pain that I felt, and that I promised myself I would never feel it again. Then the unconditional love, then the making peace with each other and also with myself at what we had been through, then realizing that this feeling of love can last through years and can evolve into something else. All those beautiful things, I believe I was so lucky that I had the chance to experience them before turning even 28. Like it's I believe it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful gift, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Simply, I think maybe knowing that really helps understanding me and knowing me a bit better when it comes to relationships and my outlook on those things. So yeah, I really appreciated sharing that with you because it's just a positive and beautiful thing in my life. You know what, actually I believe those 3 people I loved, they're all my 3 first loves, because they're like in different categories. So for me it feels like a first for each of them, because they're in totally different worlds, totally different eras, and totally different me, I suppose you could say. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy watching this video. I hope it made you feel something positive. Maybe it resonated with you. Maybe it gave you hope for something. I don't know. Anything positive you could get out of this video, I hope you got it. And yeah, I will talk to you soon, guys. Bye. By the way, I'm really curious about your first love. So if you feel so inclined, you can always comment about that in the comment below. Yeah. Thank you.